The Northwest Cavalryman Show, the podcast where your host, Rick Skolrud, discusses politics and news from Canada, the United States, and around the world, from a conservative perspective. Warning: professionally offended people and liberal crybabies may be triggered. Viewer discretion is advised. While we put the finishing touches on this podcast, you are invited to visit the show notes. There are links to all of Rick's social media, including his website where you can sign up to take the Canadian Firearms Safety Course, which is a prerequisite for obtaining your Canadian firearms license, also known as a PAL. Rick teaches these courses in Maple Bay just east of Duncan on Vancouver Island, British Columbia. Now here's your host, Rick Skolrud.
Hey everybody, how are you doing tonight? So I wasn't quite sure I was going to get on tonight. I been having some sleep problems and but I finally woke up. So hello Ronan and hello Tracy. See you all are there. I try to get this chat to come up on screen sometimes, and it for some reason sometimes it comes up on the screen and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why it's always a little bit different. So let's see. Maybe I'll try this. Yeah, there it goes. It's up on the screen. I don't know. All right. So had a few things I wanted to talk about tonight, of course. A lot of things have been happening. So many things have been happening that it's almost it's hard to keep up, and it's hard to even figure out what I should be talking about because hello Brad, hello Harley. What is this? Women hauling oversized. How you doing? So we get so many things that are happening, like this Trudeau. Well, Trudeau's always having something happen. He's always causing problems somewhere. And apparently, I heard somewhere, I don't know how true it is, but I heard that his trip to Mar-a-lago was because Trump kind of summoned him there. I don't know if that's true or not. I think that's just kind of somebody speculating or making things up. I think he went there to try and become or look like he's some sort of a big deal or whatever. And then, of course, when Trump made the 51st state comment. So what I found, of course, we've got this. This is, he's been trolling Trudeau ever since. And it's pretty funny. A lot of people have been trolling Trudeau. Like Fox News, actually, Jesse Waters on Fox News, he was trolling Trudeau as well.
Canada.
He
Not militarily. I just
or trolling. I think he's actually trolling Canada,
someone
but
hugs you and pulls
it's
you in
okay.
tight. We're
He can
actually
do that.
saving Canada by making them the 51st state.
Some people are taking
Actually,
this
52nd,
far too
because
serious.
You need two.
Some people are
Canada's
getting all
split in
out of
half.
shape
West
over this.
is conservative. To the east is liberal. Balance of power electorally, plus the senators. You need an even number. Not only would we double the size of the country, we'd probably quadruple the oil. Also, we'd have all the timber, the fish, pretty much every real estate conglomerate, medicine, livestock. There's so many great industries we could, again, not conquer, absorb. Plus, it's a very intelligent country, and we could need some help in that department if you've seen Johnny's out in the street interviews. So Canada, welcome to America, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, everybody's making fun of that, and of course Trump is as well. I don't know. What do you guys think? Actually, they've been some YouTubers have been doing polls like, what would you do if the United States wanted to invade? Would you help them out? Would you fight them off? Would you not do anything? That kind of thing. I think the pleb did a poll on that. So I think it's kind of funny. And he wouldn't even let Trudeau stay at Mar-a-lago when Trudeau was down there. Trudeau had to get some cheap motel. That was kind of funny. I don't know what that if it was instigated by Trudeau or instigated by Trump. As I said, I think he instigated it. Trudeau, he went down there trying to act the big shot, and then came away looking like a bit of a fool. But that's just, that's just my opinion. I don't know if it's true. So then what's happening in the House? Well, yeah, there's, of course, Wednesday was Wednesday, right? It was Leaders' Day. They all got there. They actually looked like, for the most part, they were having, having a good time of it, ribbing people back and forth. Didn't seem to me to be as aggressive as, yeah, I did. But it is, I did, Tracy. I talked about that. And I don't think that the 51st state is a good idea, though, or 51st, 10-second state. If all the provinces became states, I think that would be a good deal. Although I don't know if they would accept the Maritimes as separate states because of the population, but who knows? Yeah, I think that it would be a good idea, but I don't think that the rest of Canada or the majority of Canadians think so. And you have to convince the majority of Canadians. So, but it is a joke. Everybody, like, America's not going to invade, yeah, people are laughing about that. So then we get to the House, eh? So Wednesday was kind of a fun and games day, I guess. Like it was. I thought it was fairly lighthearted, but although this comment by Jagmeet Singh, I don't think was very appropriate.
The honourable member from Burnaby South.
Why are these conservatives chirping so much? They've proven that they are bootlickers for billionaires.
Actually, he's thinking he's smiling like he thinks he's said something really intelligent there, but that's not a very intelligent thing. I think that's kind of a low intelligence thing, but he's kind of smiling and laughing. If you saw him after the House, after this, when he walked out.
The honourable leader of the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister claims he's taking taxes off of fresh made produce. He really does. He really does think that food comes from the grocery store, not from the farmers who actually grow the produce. That's why he, I guess, thinks he can carbon tax those farmers without taxing the food. And then you have his friend, the Maserati Marxist over there in the. A carbon tax election.
Of course, Singh brought that on himself with the bootlicking comment. That was just, I think that was just rude. But the Maserati Marxist comment was hilarious because I think that the Conservatives, they actually have a little bit of intelligence behind their quips. They think about them and they're not just stupid little quips. But it seems like the left, the Liberals and the NDP, they don't have very, very much intelligence behind their quips. Now, however, I think that maybe, if the four parties just kind of calmed down and got to business, it would probably be a lot better for the country. But that's just my opinion. Although, I think that holding up Parliament the way the Conservatives are doing it, I think is actually a good thing right now because of some of the bills that the Liberals are trying to get passed, trying to pass, and also they need those documents. But one of the things that the Liberals are trying to pass, they're trying to they're bringing back up the gun thing. So I think they're thinking that an election is just around the corner. Because whenever an election is just around the corner, they bring up the gun thing again. So on Tuesday in committee, this is what happened in committee on Tuesday regarding the gun thing.
What people are afraid of is that with the buyback program that you promised, people will be able to sell their prohibited weapons to the government. They will sell the weapons, take the money, and go buy a similar weapon that is still in circulation. So the control measure will be ineffective, and this is going to be a waste of public funds. So just like many other people, I expect you to reveal the first phase of the buyback program soon. Can we expect a total ban of assault-style weapons before implementation of this program? Ms. Michaud, thank you for your question. I share your concern. I totally agree with the way you ask your question when it comes to the concerns expressed. I had the opportunity, together with my colleague Jean-Yves Duclos and others, to meet on several occasions. Nathalie and Heidi from Police Se Souvient. I am aware of the very tragic celebration that is coming on Friday. There's the gap list on the Blair list. I'm not trying to correct you. I just want to make sure that we understand what we're talking about. Phase 1 of the buyback program is to go look for those prohibited firearms, assault-style weapons that are in shops like Cabela's, shops that have those weapons. This process has already begun. The RCMP has pilot projects. Tests have been done. The government has recovered some weapons already that are in the inventory of the retailers, and some rifles were destroyed. I saw the photograph of the first one that was destroyed after phase 1. You are right. Phase 2 is when we will go to the homes of individuals, and Sûreté du Québec and the police will help us. We will go look for those guns. They will be compensated. We will recognize that we have made illegal something that was legal before, so there's going to be compensation. For that, you are right. We could not have announced the next phase of the ban. It's an order in council that will come with the final list of prohibited weapons. That cannot be left open. When people will receive a check, they cannot go back to Cabela to buy a modern version of the firearm that we've just made illegal. So that is going to be a loophole that will be closed and shut down before people receive their money. In the coming days, I think I'll have something to say about that, about the next steps. We talked about a task force and technical team that will work with the RCMP, and that process is already underway. They have had meetings, a few meetings to date. I think there was one meeting last week. So I am aware of the deadlines you mentioned, and I am confident we will respect those deadlines. And I will be delighted to give you more details in the coming days, because you really supported what we tried to do together, you and Mr. McGregor, and before him, Peter Julian. You were important interlocutors. Thank you.
So, yeah, what's kind of scary there that they want to add more guns to that list. I think they want to get rid of all guns. And what I find odd is that they keep on going back to this well. And they haven't gotten any guns yet. They say they have from the stores, and maybe they have, the testing it out. But now, instead of getting a business or a corporation to take the guns, they say they're going to send the police around to everybody's house and get them. That would take years to do, because the police just don't have the manpower to do it all at once. So that's one good thing. I don't think they probably wouldn't get around to very many houses to get the guns before the election. And it's not, the amnesty expires around the election time or just before the election. So there's that. The other thing is they're so useless at coordinating anything. Hopefully they won't get anything. They won't get anything done. But of course, this made the question period today when Dan Show brought it up.
The honourable member for Kildonan, St. Paul.
Mr. Speaker, last week the people of Toronto were shocked to see a man attempt a violent carjacking, shooting up cars all over the 401. And it's not just Toronto. Gun violence is up 116% under this Liberal government. In fact, it's the 9th consecutive year that gun violence has increased in this country. And what are the Liberals doing today, Mr. Speaker? Another announcement, but not targeting the criminals on the 401. No, targeting turkey hunters and sport shooters and trained, tested and vetted law-abiding Canadians. When are they going to realize that gun violence is only going to stop when they go after the criminals responsible for gun violence?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And it's quite shameful on the anniversary of one of the largest mass shootings targeting women in this country. The Conservatives seem to be more concerned about keeping guns on the street that are designed for the battlefield. Mr. Speaker, we are not going after hunters or sport shooters. What we're doing is we're protecting our communities. In particular, we're protecting women who are disproportionately victims of gun violence. While Conservatives work for the gun lobby, we serve Canadians in keeping them safe.
You know, I just can't stand that Jennifer O'Connell. She just irks me the wrong way. And I think a lot of people have mentioned that. She's just so hateful, hateful, and she just spews out those liberal lies almost like she believes them. And I don't think any of I can't say they don't believe it, because they're not the sharpest knives in the drawer for sure. But there's, it's all a bunch of BS. They want to take guns away from people who don't commit crimes with guns and who keep their guns safely locked up, only use them on the range. So I don't know what's behind this, but I think there's something more nefarious behind it, to be honest with you. I've said this before. There's only really one reason why governments disarm their populace, and that's because they're planning something. And they always use the crime as an excuse. Like now they're using a 35-year-old incident because there's been a few incidents since then, but nothing that major, nothing that spectacular. And so they're using this as an excuse to take our guns. It's been 35 years. If it was such a problem, then more incidents of that magnitude would have happened since then. It's not as big of a problem as they make it out to be, and it's not a problem amongst people who are licensed. The majority of all these homicides are from unlicensed people. And what I really hate is when they always say gun crime and gun violence and whatnot. It's violence. It's crime. When you qualify it by saying it's a gun crime, it's a gun violence, it's like you're saying all the other violence isn't important. Well, only about a third of the homicides, are committed with firearms. About a third are committed with knives, and about a third are committed with by other means. So, are you saying 2/3 of the homicides don't matter? It's only the gun crime, and then what? After you take away all the guns, you're going to take away all the knives, and then you're going to, take away baseball bats. It's just insane to think that way. And it's, as I said, it's not the people who are licensed. So I think there's something more nefarious, because this happened prior to World War II, when certain people in Europe took away all the guns from the people that they were trying to control. And they did that by using the same excuses. If you look at the excuses that were used by that little, dictator over there, he's using the same excuses that the dictator over here is using. He's saying that it's crime, and that the measures that we've taken so far haven't worked, so we got to go another step and another step, and then now we have to take guns away from everybody. It's the same story. They recycle. They're not even imaginative. They don't even have the imagination to make up a new story. It's just crazy how stupid they are. And I just think that there's something going on there that we don't know about. Because why would, especially right now in the world, we've got the conflict in Ukraine that is threatening to expand to Europe. And then what? This isn't the 1930s. This isn't the late 1930s, or if you're from the States, the 1940s. It's now we are actually the buffer between Russia and the United States. So, and they want to take our guns away from us. And then what? Are they going to now then come back and say, oh, well, you know what? You guys need guns now because we're being invaded by Russia. Here are the guns. Because they were doing that in Ukraine. And Canada was giving them guns to arm their citizens in Ukraine. It's just stupid. It's just stupid what they're all of their excuses. So, I mean, I'm not saying that that's going to be much of a difference, but I think that when you consider back in the 1970s, Canadians per capita had more firearms than the United States. Now, I'm pretty sure that's changed since the 1970s with all of our laws and all of the liberalization of their laws, and all the concealed carry laws and the open carry laws and whatnot. I think the gun culture in the U.S. has grown somewhat. It's grown here as well, but the recreational gun culture anyway. But and that's because we have the recreational sports. We have IPSC, and we have on the island here we have the South Island shooters and the North Island shooters, and I got to get into that actually because I'm not going to renew my IPSC membership this year. It's just too expensive, and I didn't shoot this year because of my hands and my knee. So I think I'll be able to get back into shooting next year because my hands are starting to feel better, and my knee is starting to feel better. I had a knee replacement. It's coming up on 2 years now, or a year and a half. So I'm going to be able to move a little bit. We also have like the cowboy action stuff. So these are all legitimate sports. And when I was in the Lower Mainland, I also did a sport called DSS. And that was with AR-15s, shotguns, and pistols as well. So it was a 3-gun sport. So all of these people who say that they're not interfering with recreational shooters are absolutely lying, because these are recreational shooting sports that are out there. So I just don't buy the fact that they're doing it, that they don't know that it's not going to work. Yes, they have an anti-gun lobby, a very loud anti-gun lobby, and people who are basically low information voters, and a lot of people who are voting or who are on that in the anti-gun lobby for emotional reasons, because they've had relatives who've been victims of crimes. So I think that's tragic. It's horrible, but that's an emotional reason. It's not a logical reason. And when they look at the logic behind it, and when they look at who committed those crimes, that's when you start to see that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So what is their plan? I don't know. but I think it might have something to do with the WEF. I think it might have something to do with the New World Order, and that they've been trying to push on us for since the 1970s, since Trudeau won. And I think you all know what I think of him. I did a video last week, I believe it was last week, that was demonetized because it covered his illegal acts. So that's he was a piece of work. Everybody knew that. I think it was the worst kept secret of all, like that he was, favored men. But there were still some people who were in denial. And Margaret, of course, she just favored anything that walked. Those two were problematic. And I believe that lady who was given her story, and I touched on this on my last live stream as well. So I think it really does have something to do with the New World Order. I think they want to make a world government. They already have in one sense the UN, but that's falling apart a little bit because of BRICS, and that's more of a military alliance, but it's also an economic alliance. And when you think about it, it could, form kind of an opposition or an alternative to the UN. Where the UN, I don't actually like the UN, to be honest with you. I like the concept of having a place where all the countries can get together like that, but it's grown too much. And I've mentioned this on other live streams, that when governments always grow, they grow and grow and grow. And the reason why they don't ever shrink, at least not of their own accord. So you need somebody to come in like Ronald Reagan did, and now Elon Musk and Vavam Rashami. I can't even say his name tonight, But you need people like that to come in and forcibly, take apart government sometimes, because it just gets too big. We've never had that in Canada, and we're always of this idea that we should add things. We got to add this, we got to add that, and we up taxes because of it. Well, and now we're just printing money and causing a deficit and causing inflation. So that's a big problem as well. And I just think that if we're left alone more, and we can just do our own thing, we would just be that much better off. And so I'm not really fond of the UN, because I believe the UN has grown too big as well. I think the UN has become a government unto itself, not just a place where all governments can meet and discuss things, but it's like a ruling body of its own. And then you have the International Court, kind of the same thing, and you have the EU, which is yes, it's European based, but it is kind of the same deal, just over there. What is this? I don't really have too much else I was going to cover tonight. I thought I had more. It's funny, when I think I have a lot, I don't have as much as I thought I had. And then when I don't think I have much, sometimes I go a full hour, and it's wild. So let's go see what people are talking about here in the chat. So going back here, hello Harley, Brad, Jennifer, Lisa from Salmon Arm. Been up to Salmon Arm a few times. Tracy, hello. Michael Griffin from Armstrong. I think that's a... have we said hello to you before there, Michael? I think we have. Mr. G, offer them Quebec first. Yeah, I think they'd give it back. But Quebec wants to try and make it on their own. And that's, I think they're, they might last a few years, but I think they would want to form some sort of a union. If we all went to the U.S., became U.S. states, Quebec would join sooner or later. Hello, Sue from New Brunswick. I was born in New Brunswick. In Miramichi. It wasn't Miramichi back then. It was Chatham. My mom was from Newcastle. So hello, Sue. Politically incorrect from BC. Well, I'm on the island, politically incorrect. I think everybody knows that. Wage slave. I'm not sure what you said there. A lot of these names are the Americans laugh at us, especially Texans. They love their gun rights. Yeah. Actually, I've been down to Texas. I like it down there. I think the thing about the gun rights in a lot of those states is where they have reasonable gun laws in the states where you can own a gun and carry a gun. Obviously you have background checks and whatnot. They actually have less crime. It's not that it's the gun, the availability of the gun necessarily, but a lot of people try to push it off as that or say it is, and there might be something to that, but it's I think it's a cultural thing and a just really a law-abiding thing. It's the places that are more conservative are just more law-abiding, and the places that are Democrat just aren't. Politically incorrect. I'm about to flee to the U.S. I think it'd be better if we just brought them here. When you're completely unarmed, you have no rights. I said once to one of my students, I said, if you don't have the right to defend your rights, do you truly have that right? And so kind of a philosophical question. And I mean, think about it, because if you have a right, but you don't have the right to defend that right, then you don't really have a right. It's just not there. The bobblehead blondie. I think you're talking about Jennifer O'Connell. Oh, she just, I don't like her at all. We already have no rights in two-tier policing. That is correct, Jennifer, I think, unfortunately. 22 is a battlefield gun. Yeah, they would think so. If it looks scary, they want to ban guns just because they look scary a lot of times. No reason at all. Gun control in any country has never resulted in reduced crime, as per Canada Public Safety Report in 2003, which is absolutely true. And you can't stop the guns that are coming in illegally. And you don't know how many guns that have been smuggled in illegally anyway. You just can't, it's just not possible. And when you look at other countries that have really severe gun laws, they still have crime, and they still have violence. So it's just dumb. They're blaming, it's low-hanging fruit is what it is. Because the gun people in Canada obey by the rules, it's easy for them to look like they're doing something. They look like they're doing something. They don't have to do anything, but they look like they're doing something by taking guns away from people. And that's all it is. Because they don't want to secure the border or whatever. It's just the way it is. The UK, there's a huge knife stabbing. Yeah. Yeah, they have armed security over there sometimes. Sometimes they have armed police over there. Britain banned handguns, violent crime increased. Of course it did. You know, want Trudeau to give my wife and I a refund on the extra cash we spent to get our RPAL training. You know, when the Conservatives come back, you're going to be able to buy handguns again. You know, I'm offering a course here on in January 18th and 19th. I've got only got six seats filled so far, or yeah, I think it's 6. Maybe it's only 5, but hopefully I can get a few more. But it's all just for non-restricted because you can't buy a handgun right now. But it's going to change. So I would still get my restricted handgun license if I was new and just getting one. High River floods. So is it flooding in High River these days, right now? Oh, okay. You're talking about when they went into the homes. Okay. Yeah. So they went into the homes and seized the guns. I don't think they'd be able to find where mine are. If I wasn't home, they probably wouldn't be able to get to them. Yeah. Oh, and you know, the Liberals are all saying that women are disproportionately the victim of gun violence, and you know, it's not really true. You know, where almost all the vast majority of gun violence is occurring is in the gang related. So they're just twisting the facts there. Resolute Ronan. If Trump swoops in and takes Canada, we would at least get the Constitution. We would get a lot of things. But he's not coming in. He would have to be invited in. Like a vampire, he has to be invited in. And Canadians aren't ready for that. But, you know, I would vote for it. All firearms and ammo purchases are recorded by the seller. Everything is registered and accounted for. True, although you don't. They have to look at your license, but they don't for ammunition. They don't actually write down any of your information. They just have to make sure that you have a valid license for the ammo. And the odd thing is, and we found this out when I was working in Surrey, we would find people with ammunition, and the constables would try to charge them if they didn't have a license. The odd thing is, you have to have a license to purchase ammunition, but there's a loophole in the law that they need to close, that if you don't have a license but you're in possession of ammunition, there's nothing to charge you with. So, yeah. And that's because we have these laws made by people who don't have any knowledge of firearms. I think that if you're going to be a member of Parliament, you're going to be making laws concerning firearms, you should at least know something about firearms. You should have to take the course and have to take it for me so I can get paid. So, pathetic human, Jennifer. The last time I checked, hunters don't hunt on the streets. They hunt deer, moose, and go to gun ranges. That's correct. Yeah, you know, and Jeff, there's a lot of people who had, you know, in cadets, they had gun training. I don't know if they still do that. I didn't go to cadets. I went kind of for an orientation, but it wasn't for me. it's time for Alberta to separate from the socialist part of Canada. It's true. You know, and Jennifer, that's true. That particularly for ladies who the carrying a gun, I think, is beneficial. You know, just for the deterrent factor. You know, and they talk about violence towards women. Well, if women had firearms, then they could fend off the person attacking them. When you buy, okay, so politically incorrect asked, when you buy a gun, the retailer has that little logbook. The guy at Cabela's said nothing gets sent to the government and they destroy the records after 6 months. Is that true? I think they have to keep their records for a long time, but I don't know for sure. And now what happens after Trudeau came in and changed, and with the OIC, he made it so that they have to not only check your license, but they have to phone in and confirm that it is valid. I don't know if they have to tell anybody what you're purchasing, but they just have to make sure that it's valid. How long they have to keep the records for, I think it's a fairly long time, but I don't know for sure. That would be, you know, we used to have a long gun registry, and I'm opposed to it, not on the grounds that it's not useful. Because if you get your gun stolen, at least there's a record of it and you can prove that they're yours. But the reason why I'm opposed to it is I don't trust the government. And that's the whole idea is, and now, like with the registered firearms that we have, they're coming to get a whole bunch of them. So I think that there's a really good argument that you shouldn't trust the government because this is what they're doing. Yeah. So it's pretty pathetic for our government to say we can't protect ourselves, but Israel has a right to, Ukraine has a right to, and our tax dollars are paying for them. But no, not for us peasants. That's true. Like our government's sending billions over to you. I think it's billions. I think it's in the billions now over to Ukraine to fight their war, giving them firearms, giving them munitions, and you know they're taking them away. They're taking firearms away from us citizens. You know, and it's like I said before. We're the buffer. It's not like the 1940s where the Russians couldn't really practically come over the pole. They can come over the pole now. They have the equipment. So 16 billion so far to the Ukraine. Is that from us or is that? I thought that is a lot of money. You know, I mean, think about how that could go a long way to paying down our debt. You know, I just don't think that we should give money to other countries until we have our own house in order. And I've said that all the way throughout my life, like when the first Trudeau was in power and when Chrétien was in power, we shouldn't give away money and we shouldn't try to fix other people's problems until we have our own house in order. And that's going to be a long, long time because we're so far in debt now. I don't know when we're going to get the house in order. It's going to be it's going to be some tough times, and there's going to be a lot more drama in Parliament because when Polyev gets there, everybody's going to be criticizing him for all the cuts that he makes, but he has to make some. I think that actually he should also hire Elon Musk. Elon Musk has some sort of connection to Canada. I think he spent 3 years here as a kid in Saskatchewan or someplace, and I think he should hire. I think that we should hire Elon to come in and thin the government ranks out here as well, because you know, they get all the. It's like they do get have some really good ideas in the States, and while their system isn't perfect, I like the idea of the states having more power, and the power being more decentralized. So there's a lot of really good arguments. Matter of fact, I've been reading a book on and off for a long time because it's kind of boring. There's going to be, it's from Diane Francis. She's got a few books out there. She's an economist. And one of the books I read was The Great Merger, which is making all of the arguments that Canada and the United States should merge. And it's been around it's a dated book now. I think it was, I think it came out in like 2016 or something like that. So it's pretty dated. Trudeau was in power. So maybe it was 2018 it came out. I'm not sure. So I think, I think I'll just leave it there because I've pretty much exhausted the topics that I had, and I've gone through. Elon's mom is Canadian. I didn't know. So I'm just going to call it a night because I do have a lot of work to do around the house. Got some visitors coming over next week, and the house is a shambles from all of the work that I've been doing on it. So have a great evening, everybody, and a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next week. And hopefully I'll be able to put out a few more videos as well. Talk to you later.
You've been watching the Northwest Cavalryman Show. Thank you for tuning in this evening. I hope you've enjoyed the content. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and share with your friends and on social media. May God bless you. And if you're a liberal crybaby, bless your heart. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next Thursday.